Hi, good evening, everybody, and welcome to A Life is Too Short. It's on every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Every week we read prose, poetry, we read our own poetry, but we also present work of authors that we enjoy reading. We've been to events, live events in the past, so some of us will be reading from them. I'd like to introduce you, please, to David McDonald, Nicole Carter, Lesley Traynor, and Karen Anderson. And here is Blair Ritchie here. So that's great. So each of us will just read something. I think what I'd like to start off with is a book from the Campbell Wren by Red Squirrel Press, and this is by James McGonigal, because I was at an event, I can't remember, it was actually 2016. I can't believe it was an event as long ago as that, but I really enjoyed his work. A little bit about him. Basically James McGonigal is a Glasgow-based poet, editor and biographer. He has published 3 pamphlet collections as well as critical work on modernist poetry, Scottish and Irish literature. Beyond the Last Dragon, A Life of Edwin Morgan, Sandstorm Press 2010, was Scottish Research Book of the Year, and he co-edited the Midnight Letter Box. So he won the Michael Marks Poetry Pamphlet Award, and this is called the Campbell Wren. So I always like to read the first poem in the book, because I wonder, when you're publishing a pamphlet, what's the first poem you're going to introduce the book with? And so I always kind of read from the first poem, and this is a lovely one. It's called Spring Rain in Town. Sometimes the spring rain scratch my puzzled head, crossing the pavement I've already lost. Precisely what it was you said, we said, when quick as birdsong clouds slip coded notes into a blue jar no one's touched the bottom of. But we've looked at this city, and it surely has a curated look about it in winter. Skiers with gigantic knives and forks tackle the slope in the park for breakfast, or book boys in summer, each sporting their garnet necklet of love bites. We loved all that at last, its urban craze and splinter, resourceful rains touching my neck this spring, moistened the throat for speech to meet what autumn brings. The Campbell Wren, and a half time, we'll read more later on. And the second poem is from Mary Jean Chad, and this is, I went to the Golden Hair Books in Edinburgh, and she actually signed this book as well. Now, a little bit, is actually quite interesting about the author herself. Flesh, the French word for arrow, is an offensive technique commonly used in fencing, a sport of Mary Jean Chan's young adult years, when she competed locally and internationally for her home city, Hong Kong. This cross-linguistic pun presents the queer, non-white body as both vulnerable, flesh, and weaponized, flesh, and evokes the difficulties of reconciling one's need for safety alongside the desire to shed one's protective armor in order to fully embrace the world. And I'll just read again the first poem of her book, Hong Kong Chinese, and this is called I'll choose the first one. It's called Wet Nurse. For the woman who raised my mother, Shanghai, 1953. The milk pours from my body into a strange mouth. It is always hungry, and so am I. The Yulin magnolias are rioting in the back garden, unruly. Children bored with yet another spring. The mouth frees my nipple and leaks tributaries down my skin. It has been 97 days since the city stole my flesh. My husband and I have not spoken since. He shall never touch me again. When the mother goes to preach the gospel, I pretend I am her, holding my own daughter, promising to never let go. The baby sees no problem with two mothers. The father adores her at a distance. Sixth child, third daughter, beloved one. Some nights I long for a landslide in the mind, so I might bury the moment I abandoned my daughter at the station the morning of her birth. Weak from blood loss and fearful that a wet nurse with child will never find work. Now, when the baby smiles up at me, another brushes my breast with its lips. So Mary Jean Chan, very Hong Kong Chinese, very good poet. That was lovely, wasn't it? That was the first poem in the book, so thank you so much. Can I please invite Lesley to read a poem? I'm just going to, oh yes,
sure.
I'm just going to mute myself, thank you.
Well, what I've chosen to read tonight is actually some poetry, well, a poem from Siobhan Campbell, this one here, okay. When I was up at Stanza, I was actually chatting to Templar Poetry, and they produce these beautiful chapbooks. And this is Siobhan, she's an Irish poet. She runs the Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing down at Kingston University in London. But the reason I'm reading it is because yesterday I was listening to the World Service, and it was two amazing women who are peace negotiators. And one of them was one of the women that was involved in the Irish peace talks and how she had to fight to get a presence at the table. They were actually told to go home and make the dinner rather than be involved in the peace negotiations. So anyway, this is Siobhan Campbell. It's called These Women. These women are no dreamers. They make happen the full wake, the kettle hopping, the oven warm. They take death in hand and force him to be civil. In their lighting, the spitting candle calms and the rosary settles out of irony. These women are not kind if you do not iron the sheets you borrowed, if you bring batch instead of sliced. What good is that for sandwiches? These women bar all holes in the screen stall of the birthroom. Instead, they ask for the gummed grit they found for themselves in that most alone of coupled moments. These women know how to mash potatoes so that they charge despair out of a teenager. They have followed a father and a small child on a combine harvester, not to pick up the pieces of the boy's arm and bring them to his mother, but because they felt the call of the backfield, like something rotting in the feed shed before Chief Rat jumps out. These women will not pass through the horse meadow, even on a summer night, for there they have felt that the world might let us go. They've seen the consequence of that. Ironing keeps us at bay and doing what is right. It's real good.
Very good. Thanks, the microphone's off. That is she one of the ladies from Northern Ireland that won the Peace Nobel Prize?
No, she's a poet. I was listening to the programme and it was the woman talking about how she had to fight to be at the table, to be a peace negotiator.
Mm-hmm.
Now what she does is she supports other women in different countries to be part of peace negotiations. So she's out in Colombia at the moment. So I mean, it was a really interesting programme on the World Service. Do you want me to read anything else, Rose? Yes, that was a yes, that was a thumbs up. Okay, this is mine. One that I've just really kind of finished. and one that I wrote about a month or so ago. I'll maybe read the second one later, okay? Let me be like water, not a rock in the river, a free spirit, part of the flow, slipping forward without disturbance, expanding into the ocean, evaporating, forming a cloud, part of life's cycle, floating onwards, worry-free, gently raining on arid land, onto a boat, a pilot to row me into a safe harbour, where life is calm, where I am like water. That's my experience of lockdown, I think. You know, maybe I'll get there. Okay.
Excellent stuff.
That was excellent. Really enjoyed that. I'll hope we can hear more later on because we have a little bit more time now. So that's thankfully. Karen, could we please invite you to read your poem? Karen,
I've chosen a poem by someone else, and then a poem that I've written. They're sort of linked, but I mean, as I say, I'm not a poet, so you have to bear with me. But broadly, the first one, which I'm just trying to find, it's because I can't have a book in front of me because I don't have any of my books, but I'm sort of exiled in Greece at the moment, and that is the theme of the two poems, well, to a certain extent. Today is the first day, if I can find that UK residents are allowed to technically fly to Greece. And I'm really worried for the community that I live in because there are a lot of old people here in the Greek way of things. Old people live with the family or in the taverna. And frankly, it's a tinderbox because they have to open the tavernas to make their living because it's very seasonal. And that bothers me, something awful. So I just hope everybody's going to act responsibly. And this one is called The Old Man in Greece. And I found it just looking for something relevant. And it's by a Philippine poet called Rick Bastasa. And I thought it was quite funny because he's the same age as me and he's a judge by profession and an amateur poet. So I thought that was quite reasonable. And it says, I'll start, bear with me. Somewhere in Greece, now I remember, because of your letter, there was an old man who holds a piece of a shattered mirror that he carries everywhere. And those that he cannot confront or see directly, he does with his mirror. And he had since then seen them all. Whatever light he captures, he reflects it to those who are sad like him. And he tells himself, now I understand. Now I am no longer afraid. Now I can proceed to the ways of being alone. What road is left, he must traverse. What thought is there, he must think for himself. And before he died, because he died in truth, alone in his bedroom. Sorry, it's just jumped on. It's the blasted internet. I'm sorry. I don't know what it's done to me here. Don't do this. Yeah. He died in his bedroom. He wrote his view of the world in that shattered piece of mirror, still reflecting whatever small light he stored from within. So that was the first poem. And then there's a wee poem I wrote, if I can find that. And it's called Stranded in Greece, a sort of lockdown poem. You're stuck in Greece. When are you coming home? It seems rude to say, but this is our second most precious home. Terrace, chair, cushion, shade. But earth, heat, sunbeat, tent. I've sent you some supplies, tablet, shortbread, oatcakes, Pringles, water, flour, tomato, rice. Keep in touch. Zoom, emails, laptop, WhatsApp. Silence, worry, wondering, loss. What do you do all day? Work, read, swim, relax. Fetch, queue, wait, despair. When are you coming home? When the EasyJet flights start? When the borders are open? We have no home. There is no home. How can we find home? Inshallah. So that was my thing about the refugees in Greece. Thank you.
It
Good,
absolutely
very good.
really was.
Very, very good.
Thank you so much, Karen. So looking forward to hearing more of your work. If that's an amateur poem, my goodness, we've got a lot to look forward to. David, do you have anything to read you can share with us?
Well, I'll kick off with Willie Hershaw's contribution, one of Willie Hershaw's contributions to the Kiss the Thistles book. Can you? It's great because it blocks me out when you do that. Because this women background I've got. This is called Reporting Scotland from Willie Hershaw. Relentless the roadkill counted on your crooked road. You hang their carcasses on our screens. Endless your litany of negatives. In Scotland today only, murder, rape, accident, death, failure, allegation, and sleek attack. So what that in Stornoway, a baron laughing on a swing, a man in Perth let his neighbour win at dominoes, a woman from Methil escaped from hell, graduating with first-class honours. You presume to edit our day. Let nothing good be heard, as if you laundered out the clean, leaving only the stains. But a rumour has got out, circulates the land like a breeze. The Eldons, the adder tastes, the air for a change. The hawk on mull hangs still and listening. Bluebills carpet the wood of birches in Bell's Hill, as much as in Hallaig. The old wolf has been seen in the forest. And that's Willie Hershaw's, William Hershaw, friend Willie. I've not seen him for a couple of years, but he's just like everything else, he swings and roundabouts. And I'll do this other one. I'm trying to get positions properly here because I have to read this one on my phone. I don't have the actual thing with me. Lapse. This is the kick-off poem, as we're talking about starts of books and starts of whatever. The next book is going to be a chat book, 38 pages. This is called Renaissance of Self, and it's the kick-off poem. You could look at it as a coming out of lockdown, but it's actually just basically a realization of the end of a chapter of your life and you want to change things. This is Renaissance of Self. Basically, these poems were stuff that I found on the computer after doing my cataloguing of everything I've written last year. There's a block on the computer that's still not been done yet, and I was going through some of the older stuff, and I just happened to find stuff lying about on the computer, and I went, oh, that looks not bad. Why did I never use that in anything? But it never seemed to fit together. So I've got these ones in this book coming. So here we go. Not to say they're any worse or any better than anything else, but they just seem to work differently. Renaissance of Self. Someone always asks me, why did you stop? You were doing well. Maybe, but how long can you live in hell?
I've had enough of the rat race. So one day I did an about face. No more, I said, no more. Sitting in traffic jams on the highway to tedium, working myself to an early death. And I gave it up to reconnect to life, but didn't know what to expect. Thought I'd try my hand at other things, freed of the wage slavery that was pulling my strings. So where do you start? Depends on how far you want to fall. Back to basics, threads stripped bare, relearn the meaning of reality, rejecting greedy fistfuls of money. Even that has a stench of servile humility. The only saving grace is my writing. It helps keep a handle on things, saving me from going insane. I know there's no money in that, not even a momentary chance of fame. The doubters say I've got myself to blame. If only they knew, they'd do it too, and leave the quagmire of living hell and join me on a journey to find the great renaissance of self. And that's the kick-off poem for the new book, well, the first of the two new books that will be coming.
Brilliant. And as I say, I love the fact that we're actually recording. We can just relax and listen to it all back. I love that. Because the first time you hear it, I think you have to hear a poem 2 or 3 times so I'm looking forward to the recording. I hope everybody else will enjoy it as well. Nicole, can we please ask you to read? Look forward to reading.
Sure, yeah, thanks. I just wanted to say, I'm loving doing this, and everyone's poems have been amazing. And it's just, it really is, you know, to be amongst people like yourselves, you as well, David. It's just tremendous, and it boosts my mood, you know, anyway. So I've got from here, it says Poetical Works of Alfred Lord Tennyson. So that's 1902, this book, and it's got gold. Don't know if you can see that, it's got gold. So this is The Poet's Mind. So I don't know if any of us can empathise with this. The Poet's Mind. Vex not thou the poet's mind with thy shallow wit, vex not thou the poet's mind, for thou canst not fathom it. Clear and bright it should be ever, following like a crystal river, bright as light and clear as wind. Dark-browed sophist, come not anear, all the place is holy ground. Hollow smile and frozen sneer, come not here. Holy water will I pour into every spicy flower. Of the laurel shrubs that hedge it around, the flowers would faint at your cruel cheer. In your eye there is death, there is frost in your breath, which would blight the plants. Where you stand you cannot hear from the groves within, the wild birds din. In the heart of the garden the merry bird chants, it would fall to the ground if you came in. In the middle leaps a fountain like sheet lightning, ever brightening, with a low melodious thunder. All day and all night it is ever drawn. From the brain of the purple mountain, which stands in the distance yonder, it springs on a level of bowery lawn, and the mountain draws it from heaven above, and it sings a song of undying love. And yet, though its voice be so clear and full, you never would hear it, your ears are so dull. So keep where you are filled with sin, it would shrink to the earth if you came in. So, The Poet's Mind, I don't know what he's trying to say with that, but never mind. So that's Tennyson. It's an old book, leather bound, it's cool.
Wonderful. Again, beautifully expressed, Nicole.
Thank you.
Expressed it really well.
Thank you. Do you want to hear one of mine? Have we got time?
Yes, absolutely. We have more time now. please, Nicole.
Woo! Thank you. Right, this one comes with a trigger warning, quite a big trigger warning, and it's difficult. It's a difficult subject, but it's supposed to be taken slightly tongue in cheek. So it's from The Homeless Diet, and it's called, this is a poem called The Homeless Diet. And it's supposed to be like an advert. Do you want to be skinny? Simply follow this diet plan to lose 2 stone in 3 weeks. Yes, 2 stone in just 3 weeks with these 5 simple steps. Step 1, break up with your boyfriend of 2 years, who's going to turn out to be, in years to come, one of the really few decent men you've ever met. Step 2, move out of your safe, comfortable flat into a shared house with folk who take drugs. Smoke lots of cannabis with your new friends until you stop functioning properly and impulsively quit your well-paid admin job. Step 3, get a job as a waitress. Get punched in the face by your new boyfriend, the chef, try to jump off the roof of the cafe, get pulled back by your co-workers, then get fired by your boss. Step 4, fly over to Italy to be an au pair for 2 very spoiled young children. Lose the plot after 3 weeks. Fly back home to arguments with your family. Get another job over Christmas, but continue to lose your mind. Step 5, run away to Amsterdam. Get 3 part-time jobs. Now, this is the important bit. Stop eating. Come back to Edinburgh to start your vicious cycle of homelessness, hospital admissions, higher education, work and homelessness. Remember, the important bit is to stop eating. So if you're homeless and have no money to buy food, voila. No more flabby abs, no more big arse. Simple. Trust me, I'm a personal trainer. This diet is free and it works. This diet plan is taken at your own risk, may or may not fuck you up, and is free with a lifetime subscription to my YouTube channels. It's all true. So I did warn you. It's all true.
Absolutely brilliant. I love that one so much.
Thank you.
Now, wonderful. Really enjoyed that. And Chris, Blair, do you have one you can share with us?
Yes.
Right. So Blair's gonna. Thank you, Nicole. That was great. I've never heard that one before. That was fabulous. There you go.
This one's by Oscar Wilde. It's one of them a few weeks ago. There was a connection problem, so didn't record. It's the Ballad of Reading Jail. As you know, Oscar Wilde is a famous writer, poet, and playwright. But his budding career as a playwright was cut short. He was charged with having an affair with the Marquis of Queensberry's son, which was illegal in those days. So he spent 2 years in Reading Jail, and was finally out a broken man. And he fled to Paris and died in poverty. Basically, this is a poem called The Ballad of Reading Jail, the Wilde's horrendous time in the jail. He did not wear his scarlet coat, for blood and wine are red, and blood or wine were on his hands when they found him with the dead, the poor dead woman whom he loved and murdered in her bed. He walked amongst the trial men in a suit of shabby grey, a cricket hat was on his head, and his steps seemed light and gay. I never saw a man who looked so wistfully at today. I never saw a man who looked with such a wistful eye upon that little tent of blue which prisoners call the sky, and at every drifting cloud that went with sails of silver by. I walked with other souls in pain within another ring, and was wondering if the man had done the greater little thing, when a voice behind me whispered low, "That fellow's got to swing." He did not wring his hands nor weep, nor did he peak or pine. He drank the air as though it held some healthful anodyne. With open mouth he drank the sun as though it had been wine. And I and all the souls in pain who tramped the other ring forgot if we ourselves had done a great or little thing, and watched with gaze or dull amaze the man who had to swing. And strange it was to see him pass with a step so light and gay, and strange it was to see him look so wistfully at the day, and strange it was to think he had such a debt to pay. The Ballad of Reading Jail.
Oh, very good.
Also as well, hanging was a great thing in those days because
Aye.
it wasn't long before the public executions, but they stopped them because they found the public were regarding them as entertainment rather than as a sort of lesson to be learned. So they started having them in private instead. So the first the poem is about the horror that prisoners felt that somebody was going to be hung and all the rest of it. Anyway, I think it's got some sort of relevance today. People are just coming out of lockdown and stuff, and they've been stuck in their own cells for the last 4 months.
Again, another poem, very well presented, and we'll listen to that later on. I like when we can listen back, you know, with the
Thank you.
kind of comfortable armchair and listen to it all again. Do you have another one to share with us, Blair?
I've got a humorous one I just thought of, but I'll maybe do it last if anyone else is in it.
A humorous one later on, that's fine. Just to finish off. Well, it'd be lovely if we could actually go around, you know, go around again, you know, with an, you know, either a poem from someone else or our own work. I suppose I can't get away with somebody else's work. I better read one of my own.
Have you got Kiss the Thistles? Do one of your ones from Kiss the Thistles, Rose.
Yeah. Well, if we've got time, because I've got this one in my hand, and I don't know why I chose it. I will do the Kiss the Thistles actually, but I'll probably choose someone else's because there's such a you know, such a diverse, brilliant poems in there. But I will do one, yeah. But this one is about age. And I think so we've lost, what's this now? This is now July. So, you know, like Blair said, we've been in lockdown. We've been incarcerated for how long now? You know, not been able to go to the hairdressers, and, you know, okay, fair enough. We have, you know, I'm joking now, but certainly people that have had, you know, underlying conditions have been stuck in a room, a small flat even, and so we've lost about 6 or 7 months of our age. So I've chosen this poem. It's called Age. Hello, age. Misconceptions of the day: fatigue, memory loss, pain, high blood pressure, but they're due to natural medical conditions, and they're corrected by hospital admissions, controlled by 21st century medication. Approve again and return to live. Keep on running into the sun, dance the night away for fun, work as long as we want. Youth-obsessed media disparages wrinkles. So what about grey hair? The messy hair. Hallmarks of nature. You're born, you live, you die. But do not leave any stone unturned. Stick up for your rights at 80. Fear not at 55 the future about physical decline in time. Ultimately, of course, death will come to all. But stamp on age discrimination. Live a full life and give it some. I was getting a bit passionate there about age. So that's one. Lesley, do you have one of your own, please, to share with us? That'd be amazing. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a choice. I've been editing the collection of, you know, poetry based on when I was living in Ethiopia, or I can give you one that's maybe a bit more light-hearted. So what would you like? Anything in particular? Can't hear you.
I'd love to hear the one about Ethiopia. That sounds amazing.
Oh,
If
right,
that's
sorry.
okay.
Well, that's
Yeah, I
actually,
lived in, it was in the middle of a war zone.
So yeah, the one about Ethiopia, please, Leslie. And perhaps, as Blair said, we can maybe try a light-hearted one at the end, if we can.
Okay, I just didn't hear it right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is called An Unattending of Ravens. Hyenas slip through the edge of the city with firefly eyes that dance in the dark, feed on offerings left by the man in the white shawl, who sees it as a blessing, left by the soldiers who see it as just. Top down, arms tucked in, we wait in a triumph stag. Know we have time before curfew. Inquisitive, they scent warm flesh, fresh blood, raise a snout against my hair, pincer jaws, skim my ear, pant fetid breath greetings. Lights of the compound catch the white shawl. Familiarity times his steps into the pack, the placing of food, his escape from this fight for flesh. Ripping and tearing until none exists. Mengistu ordered enemy flesh offered to the pack. The taste remembered between yellow teeth, a memory so sweet it brings them each night to the edge of the city, where my companion turns to me and whispers, hyenas don't laugh in Addis Ababa.
Bloody hell, Lesley.
Wow.
That was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
That is absolutely incredible, seriously.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
It was a war zone, and that's what he did to his enemies. He fed them to the hyenas.
Mm.
And I was taken there in a triumph stag, so they were that close, the hyenas.
Mm.
Not with the
Thanks
men.
so much for
There was
sharing
no
that one.
bodies that night, but I think I missed the really worst bit by about 3 weeks. You know. So anyway.
Incredible.
Right, dear. Have you had counselling for that? If you don't mind me asking.
No. And that was not the worst, I'm telling you now. That wasn't the worst thing, but no. But when I was doing my master's, they insisted really that I write the memoir. And that was really difficult. You know, I was getting flashbacks, and I'd never spoken about what happened, you know, since I'd been there, you know, and so it was quite traumatic having to do that for your master's as well, where there's so much pressure on having to produce something. But anyway.
Well, if you ever want an unjudgmental ear just to listen, you know, I could.
Well, the thing is,
request me or something.
I think the benefit of, I was a counsellor myself for 30 years. So the first thing you do in training is you go through stuff. So you learn how to cope with trauma and compartmentalise it. So yeah, I could cope with it.
Incredible poem. Thank you.
I think Lesley, the Edinburgh Writers Forum, I noticed they're going to have feature it's Catherine Simpson, and I read that you know, Catherine is going to present what it is actually right, you know, to write reality, to write her life. How do you go about writing, you know, the truth about life, you know? That'll be really interesting, the Edinburgh Writers Forum, that we can maybe join as well.
Yes, but when we're running workshops as Women with Fierce Words, that's what we try and bring about, you know, you speak your truth.
Yes.
You know, be true in your writing, and it's not that you reveal lots of details, but, you know, it comes from a place of truth. You know, you can use lots of things. So
it would be very interesting to have a workshop, perhaps at some point, you know, if you could present a workshop and you know, and the way, how you go about writing it, you know, you don't have to include every single detail, but as you say.
No, not at all,
You know,
no. And I will say that I have used poetry for novels, to get into novels. You know, when there's been difficult emotions, I actually write the poetry first. And it's never in the book, but it helps me do that. And it helped me with the memoir as well. It helped me with the memoir, because I think what you do is you condense events down into manageable bites. Does that make sense? And you can process it much easier.
That was incredibly powerful, you know, quite a short, you know, short poem, relatively short, but so what's such an impact. Blair's saying the same. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Well, the other one's very light-hearted.
So what we'll do
that at the end. I'll do that at the end.
I'll let Blair lead the light-hearted ones. We'll do the light-hearted ones at the end, just to finish off. And Karen, do you have, please, one you can share with us?
Well, you'd asked about an Edwin Morgan one.
Yes.
And it's a timely one. My girlfriend in Glasgow sent me a picture of the strawberries in her garden, and she's got tons. So this is Edwin Morgan talking about strawberries. There were never strawberries like the ones we had that sultry afternoon, sitting on the step of the open French window, facing each other, your knees held in mine, the blue plates in our lap with the strawberries glistening in the hot sunlight. We dipped them in sugar, looking at each other, not hurrying the feast for one to come, the empty plates laid on the stone together with the two forks crossed. And I bent towards you, sweet in that air, in my arms abandoned like a child from your eager mouth, the taste of strawberries in my memory. Lean back again, let me love you, let the sun beat and all our forgetfulness. 1 hour of all, the heat intense, and summer lightning on the Kilpatrick hills. Let the storm wash the plates.
Wonderful. Edwin Morgan, thoroughly enjoyed that. Thank you so much.
It's actually probably one of my favourite of
It
his.
is strong. Oh my gosh,
I just
so
love it.
visual. So beautiful. Thanks for sharing that, Karen. Thank you very much. But, David, do you have a poem or some prose to share, please?
Oh, I wish I'd brought some stuff with me, but I'll do the title poem from the new book, which is called Empty Notebooks. But it's weird how the title comes. It's just like that many get given for presents and things like that. For your birthday, you get here's a notebook. You're a writer, you'll need a notebook. I'll put them beside that other pile of 5 or 6 that are sitting on the desk that I never use. There you go. So this is called Empty Notebooks. All the empty notebooks collecting dust on the shelf, blank pages with no words on. It's only myself I have to blame. Such a shame, such a shame. Maybe I should try to write something, but I've got nothing. I need some new inspiration that I don't get watching another game. Such a shame, such a shame. I know I'm writing this just now, but it doesn't mean anything. And if it doesn't feel right on, I'll just have to try again. Such a shame, such a shame. How do the great ones do it? Do they just get down to it? And the critics wow at their creation. What about those who don't get the acclaim? It's such a shame, such a shame. Now at least, this book isn't empty. It's got some illegible scribbles on the first page. I'll close it now, put it down on the desk under a pile of papers. Such a shame, such a shame. I'll come back another day to uncover this piece and ask myself, what was I thinking about when I wrote this one? If that old feeling comes to me again, such a shame, such a shame. I'll finish it off right there and then before I lose my thread of thought. And it gets so bad, I don't know what's going on unless there's another distraction or another game. Such a shame, such a shame.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, David, for sharing that. That was great. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. Nicole, do you have another one you can share with us?
To say, we were at that workshop, Rose. Luke gave us the workshop and he said how to do repetitions. It was the 3-line and the hit with the repetition line. When we did that workshop, it was I'm sure he was there when Luke Wright did the workshop, and he said everything's like how to do it is try and write like George Formby and do the George Formby type thing, but that's what it's actually 4 lines in the hit line is the such a shame, rather than when I'm clearing windows type thing.
My goodness, I was at the Luke Wright. Yeah, I was there as well. He was fantastic. It's just fun, really great to learn different ways, different forms. Luke Wright's on me. I'd love to see him again. Well,
I seen him he does a thing every Thursday night or Sunday night or something like that. He's got an online thing on Twitter. check his Twitter out. Luke
Check
does
you
it.
out, Luke.
He's at it's his last thing that he wrote. The one he did at Stanza is just stunning. Just as always, his performances are fantastic. He's just absolutely brilliant.
Well,
but no,
if anybody's listening to us out there, listening to the recording, we absolutely would love you to come here and perform. And we just saw Angie trying to come in, and Angie Strachan. So we're really sorry, Angie, that you couldn't come on today. But hopefully you'll manage again. You'll try again next week. I was like that at the beginning as well, because I didn't even know where the mute button was. So we won't give up. We're really looking forward to seeing you, Angie, next week if you can manage. And Peter as well. You said that you might come along, so we'll look forward to that. So I think we're gonna end up with try and think of a few light-hearted poems. I might go back to 2012, and I might do one that I can't believe I did on the stage, at the Literature Society. That I think, I don't know how I did it, but we're just gonna ask Blair to start off with a funny poem.
Yeah.
There you go.
This is another topical poem about haircuts, or lack of them, as it may be the case, written by my namesake, Willie. It's very McGonagall-esque. Haircuts should be banned by law. There's just no need for them at all. They maybe make you look fair posh, but leave more of your neck to wash. So let it grow is what I say, down your neck and on its way. And after quite a buckle of weeks, you'll see them tuck it in your breeks. Although your maw is sure to rave, just think of what the shuts you'll save. The end.
Well done. Enjoyed that.
Topical. Haircuts or the lack of them.
I mean, I can't believe that I cut your hair. That was just something else. I mean, not a bad attempt. You'll be looking forward to going back to your normal hairdresser now. Now that the 15th of July, we can go back to our hairdressers. Yeah. And you can go to have a pint in the pub. So, so
thing
the
about
one,
going back to have pints in pubs, you've got to give your name and address, and wear a mask, and you get tested. You get the scan you for blood pressure, your temperature and stuff like that before you're allowed in. And if you don't give them your name and address or don't put a mask on, you're not allowed in.
That makes sense, I suppose.
Karen, I hope we're not putting you off coming back from Greece.
Greece is all. Have they got a spike again? Did they get a spike again, or did they clear it? Did they get rid of it, Karen?
I mean, they had a very low number of deaths, really low, and they were under a lot of pressure to open up to tourism. So they opened up to Greek tourism at the beginning of July, and then European tourism sort of now, although there's been people coming before now, and they've had some incidents in the islands, which is really worrying. But there's still, I mean, it's like, it's hundreds, it's like 200 or 300 people in total over the whole piece. Mm-hmm. So they're worried though, because when we first went down to lockdown, they took it really seriously. But then they started being very, very casual about it. And so we're in a kind of very strange zone at the moment. And I think the Greeks might actually play it politically quite cleverly, they're testing people when they come. And if they get high numbers of positive tests, they'll say, sorry, you can't come. And that will appease those who said, no, we need the tourists, but save, hopefully, any further worry.
So, I was just thinking that's a bit like when New Zealand were down to zero for a couple of weeks, and then they got allowed people to come in, and the two people from flights from England had the virus, so they just shut it again. It's like, no, you're not allowed to come. And then Rosie's daughter got caught in that. Did she get there yet, Rose?
Yeah, my daughter has, she wasn't allowed to board the plane. It was the 19th of March in London. She wasn't allowed to board the plane to New Zealand. She has been separated now from her husband since March the 19th. She has tried on numerous occasions to apply for the offshore visa, and they're not having it. So such a long time. The only way they can be together is if Leon travels from New Zealand back here to Scotland, collects her, brings her back again. So it's, you know, I think that's the only way it's going to happen. But I hope if anybody from the New Zealand government's listening here, you know, please look at our application. You know, they're going to spend a fortune. Leon's at risk of losing his job. You know, her dog actually went ahead of her. So, you know, they actually sent the dog like a couple of days before Mariana traveled, and so the dog is with her husband, but Mariana's not with her husband in New Zealand. It's crazy, it really. I know, don't get me wrong, you know, I know obviously you've got to protect everybody in the country, but you know, 2 weeks, surely 2 weeks, you know, of isolation would do it. But I'll keep you posted, see what happens soon, fingers crossed. So what we're going to finish, we're going to try and finish off with a light-hearted poem. I did this, I think, years and years ago, because I lived down in Leith, and I don't know if you've ever fancied, you know, a last bottle of wine, you know, and you know, in Scotland, you have to be in the supermarket by 10 p.m. to collect that last bottle of wine. So Blair and I were having a fun time, weren't we, one night, and I thought, no, I really want another glass of wine. So I rushed to the supermarket, and I was a bit sozzled. So this poem comes from that. It's called Do Not Get Caught Drunk in Tesco. Right?
They wouldn't serve you, would they?
No, wouldn't serve. So this is where this comes from. Do not get caught drunk in Tesco and leaning against the shelves when you're reaching for the stars, I mean the Shiraz. Check out that checkout, dude. Well, the geek looks more understanding. After all, we've all been there for that last chance bottle of booze. But the truth is, my dear, I am bluttered. And quite frankly, I didn't give a damn, because I'll walk through that Tesco doors and I will be free. Okay, that's it. Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any poems to share? Any crazy ones like that?
Yeah, I think you might have heard this before. It's, where is it? Yeah, I think I might have done it quite recently, actually. This is Mindfulness and Constipation. So I wrote this a few years ago. Mindfulness is good. Mindfulness is easy. It can improve your mood, help you feel bright and breezy. You can do mindfulness in bed to help you relax. You can do mindfulness at work, typing emails or while you fax. You can do it at lunch. Breathe slow while you eat to help you savour your food, whether vegan or meat. You can do mindfulness on the loo. Don't worry, breathe slow, it'll help you to poo. Constipation is a pain. No matter how hard you try, it's often in vain. So remember this, drink water and eat your veg. Be more active, get into your garden and trim your hedge. Or go for a walk in the fresh air, maybe even a jog if you dare. Talk about your troubles, don't keep them in, get it off your chest. Talking to friends and kin is the best. Whether it's your mental health or constipation, keeping it in only causes more consternation. Thanks.
Brilliant, brilliant. Lesley, do you have a wee?
Yeah. This was, oh God, there was a really bad storm just a few months back, and there was a warning sent out about high tides at Ardrossan. And so I took that phrase, and it's called Essential Travel Advice. High tides are expected at Ardrossan today. A surge. Wellies may be required. Ferries unable to return, Goatfell climbers, Saturday day trippers. Selkies visiting family will find landing on the beach difficult. Leaving an extra set of clothes with the harbour master is advisable. Electrocution from wave-damaged wires is a clear and present danger to all trapeze artists, balloonists, and trains. Prestwick Seagulls, please check your journey is absolutely necessary. Chip shops will remain closed.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Lesley. That was great. Thank you so much. Lighthearted, do you have any more poems to share with us?
That was my last poem of the night.
That was the last one. Enjoyed that.
Yes.
Any more to share?
Yes.
Well, I was just going to share once more. I want to leave on a lighthearted note, but I've just got one because we can't thank, because we're all coming out of lockdown on the 15th of July. We're able to go to the pubs, the hairdressers, but we'll never, ever forget the frontline staff. So I hope you don't mind me just finishing off with a poem dedicated to our brilliant frontline, the medical teams in the hospital, any type of frontline staff. And here it goes. I'll just read the poem, I think. Okay, it's called Words Are Not Enough. I could be a politician, poet, postie, or a thief. Enter A&E wearing cuffs on, drink and look rough. I could be black or white, old or young, or anyone. But thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. NHS doctors and nurses, carers in the communities, carers in the care homes. Because when you care for me, we are all human beings. So thank you.
Excellent, Rose.
I'd just like to wish my cousin Anne-Marie Davy, who's actually in Ireland, this afternoon. Her hair has probably been cut now. I'm going to have a look later on at Facebook, but she was doing a charity chop and to enable young people and children, cancer patients, to for them to have wigs. So I'd like to say thank you so much, Anne-Marie Davy. What a brilliant thing you did. And I look forward to seeing your new hairstyle, which I'm sure will be beautiful, as well. Thank you, David McDonald, Nicole Carter, Lesley Traynor. Thank you, Karen Anderson from Greece, and I'm looking forward to seeing you here again. Thank you, Blair, Ritchie. Thank you so much.
Thanks, folks. See you soon.
I will see you
Thanks,
soon.
Rose.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, Lesley. Bye,
Bye.
Karen.
Bye.
Bye, Blair. Bye, Rose. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.